Hey, it's Stevie J with your UFC 156 pay-per-view recap results and thoughts from AngryMarks.com. FX prelims. Francisco Cisco Rivera defeated Edwin Figueroa at 4:20 of the second round by TKO. That was a pretty decent fight. Good way to open things up on FX. Dustin the Diamond Kimura defeated Chico King Camus at 150 of the third round via rear naked choke. And as I recall, Kimura came in well overweight for this, so probably saved his job by getting this submission. Isaac Valley Flag defeated Eve Edwards by a split decision, and I really didn't think it was a split decision. I thought Isaac Valley Flag was the better striker in this fight. Eve Edwards couldn't really get his game going at any point, so I felt like he deserved a unanimous decision, but at least the right guy won. Bobby Green and Jacob Volkman. Green just totally stunned me because I expected Jacob Volkman to just grind him out, but Green was very crisp. He was out there going toe to toe with Jacob and didn't seem to be the one getting tired. In fact, I thought his cardio was better and got Volkman to the ground, put on the rear naked choke, tapped him out. 4:25 of the third round. Bobby Green makes an impressive debut. Maybe I shouldn't say that was my favorite because this was a pretty spectacular fight as well. Tyrone, I, well, his nickname to me is T-Wood, but now they're calling him the Chosen One. And he earned that nickname by going out there and blitzing Jay Heron in just 36 seconds. Totally overwhelmed him, hammered him, just knocked him completely the heck out. So, T-Wood, for those who had never seen him before in Strikeforce, made a really big debut on UFC FX prelims. Finally, Evan Dunham beat Gleason Tebow by split decision. Again, I don't really feel like this was a split decision. I think the right guy won here. Tebow had his best round in the first round, was definitely using his size and strength to tag Dunham, but the longer the fight went, you could tell all that muscle that Tebow packs on his body at 155 just burned up all his oxygen, all his energy. Lactic acid was slowing him down, and Dunham, by the third round, he was just tagging him at will. It was just funny to watch a guy that was so much bigger physically than him just get completely upended in the third round the longer the fight was going. So Dunham was pulling ahead in the second and the third. He definitely won this fight. Then we go to Aldo versus Edgar on pay-per-view, the main card. And it was a little bit of a slow start. Benavidez and Uncle Creepy went the full 15 minutes. And I hate to say it because I like Uncle Creepy. He's been a guest on our show before. But it's another fight in UFC that didn't go his way. He lost a unanimous decision, 29-28 times 3. I could have even seen this being a 30-27. It's hard to really decide which round Ian McCall did well in. I had a couple friends over for this pay-per-view, which is one reason this recap's a little later than usual. But one of the things I said to them as we were watching the fight was, the problem here is Ian McCall won about 30 seconds to a minute of any round, but Benavidez won the other 4. Like, McCall would get in a good punch or get a takedown or, he'd do something. The other 4 minutes of the fight, Ian would just get picked apart by Benavidez on the feet. So the right guy won. John Fitch and Damian Maia. Damian just made this fight his from the very get-go. He immediately rushed in, got a takedown. For about 2 minutes, John Fitch was standing there with Maia on his back, trying to find a submission. And the story of this fight was that Fitch was able to defend every single submission that Maia threw at him, but Maia was just taking him down and controlling him and looking for the submissions. So you could tell which guy was dominating the fight, but he wasn't able to finish it. You could tell which guy was losing the fight, but he wasn't getting finished. So it was a stalemate with one guy being a little bit ahead, and Damian Maia was that guy that was ahead for all 3 rounds. So in the end, it goes Damian Maia's way, 30-27 times 3. And there were no post-fight interviews, and I'm not really surprised, because what do you say after that? Finally, we got a little excitement on the pay-per-view. Alistair Overeem and Bigfoot Silva And for the first 2 rounds, it looked like it was going to be your classic Alistair Overeem fight. He'd be strong in the first, he'd fade the second and the third, he'd try to hang on and get a decision. You know, once in a while you get those Alistair Overeem knockouts or finishes in the first round that we all love, and which makes him a fan favorite. But Bigfoot Silva was being strategic and not letting it happen, not really getting into a war on the feet. But in the third round, apparently he'd had enough, or he felt Overeem was gassed enough, or Overeem said something to him disrespectful that he didn't take kindly to, because in the third round, he just came out throwing, and he absolutely hurt him badly. He clipped him with a right, and you could see that Overeem got stunned. Silva poured it on, and this is the fastest I've ever seen Bigfoot Silva move. He charged at him, he got him up against the fence, and he just let loose. Uppercut, right, left, right. And you could tell that at some point Overeem was already done, but Herb Dean was letting it go, and he kept throwing more punches. It's like, Jesus, Herb Dean, jump in there. He's a zombie. The only reason Overeem hadn't fallen down yet was because his feet were too stupid to follow his brain into unconsciousness. Finally, when he started to slump a little bit, Herb Dean ran in there and was like, this is over, stop. And Silva was so mad at Overeem that he kept trying to go after him. He was yelling at him. He wanted to throw, maybe he wanted to throw more punches. He definitely wanted to yell at him. Herb Dean was dragging him away. So whatever Overeem did to piss Silva off, bad idea. He got knocked the hell out. Bigfoot Silva with the biggest knockout of the night. And then that led to a boring fight with Sugar Rashad Evans and Little Nog, where Little Nog just outboxed Rashad for 3 rounds, and Rashad couldn't get any takedowns, and Little Nog got the decision. He got all 3 judges to agree that it was 29-28. I could have even gone 30-27 here. What did Rashad do? Nothing. This was probably the worst Rashad Evans performance I've seen in a long time. The main event, well, I'd say this fight and then the Overeem Silva fight were the two that made the pay-per-view worthwhile. Aldo and Edgar was a very good 5-round war for the featherweight title. Aldo was the strongest in the first 2 rounds. He was using leg kicks that you could tell were just making Edgar's life miserable. A couple of times it knocked him off his feet. That's how hard he was getting kicked. And the striking was definitely working for him. But then in the third round, Edgar apparently feels no pain because he started moving around better on his leg than he had in the first 2 rounds before he got kicked. And suddenly he was finding the range with his jab, and he was getting in there, and he had already been pretty heavily beat up by Aldo in those first 2 rounds, so he looked the worse for wear. But he was going in there, and he was outsparring the champion. Third and fourth round, third round was close enough; it could have gone either way. Fourth round was definitely Edgar's. And then in the fifth round, you had to feel like it was either all tied up or Aldo was up by 1, and it could have gone any way at that point. But I felt like Aldo realized that too, made sure that he was able to stuff Edgar's takedown attempts, and Edgar was getting in there, but I don't know if he got in there enough to do enough damage, and Aldo was able to counter and throw kicks, and I felt like Aldo edged it out at that point. I felt like it was 48-47. And the judges came back with 2 49-46s and a 48-47. So Jose Aldo retains the featherweight title. That's your UFC 156 recap. I'm Stevie J from AngryMarks.com.